Welcome to FX Options University, recorded live at the International Securities Exchange, the world's largest equity options exchange. Join the industry's top trading professionals as they provide insight and strategies for trading in the currency markets using FX options. FX options are a low-risk alternative to hedging currency moves in any market condition.
Now, trend identification. Really, it seems like we're going right back down to the basics, sort of to the entry-level technical education series here. But to be honest with you, there's no need to get fancy when it comes to identifying opportunities using technical analysis. We really focus on, first and foremost, just identifying whether there's not a trend in place, or whether there is a specific trend in place or underway. Is it going to continue, or is that trend looking to come to an end, and we're looking for a particular change or topping pattern? But the idea, and it sounds very simple, is we just bring it right back to the bare minimum, which is an uptrend will make higher highs, a downtrend will make lower lows, and of course we will be looking at sideways trends, which have established peaks and troughs that or essentially what we call peaks and troughs, and I'll show examples in a few moments. But we're looking at these sideways trends as well. Now, when you're looking to establish opportunities from a directional perspective, then a sideways trend isn't necessarily something that you're looking for. But when you're embracing the options market, what's pretty interesting about being able to identify these types of trends is that it opens up the opportunity for the FX options trader to establish sort of advanced strategies such as credit spreads, or a little more advanced strategies such as credit spreads or iron condors, where you're looking at a particular pair value staying within a certain range. So the idea is that once you can sort of break it down into these sort of very simple components, what we're really looking at doing is watching how the market or the price action breaks a particular level, and to determine whether or not we have a continuation of an uptrend, or whether or not we have a continuation of a downtrend. Now, here's a very simple, actually usually the slides here would be a little more proactive. I'm not sure why they're not sort of broken down to me being able to kind of click the buttons. So I'm just going to have to walk you through this as most effectively as I can, and I'll try to use the little arrow button here as best. Now, traditionally what we would have is just a little generic trend in place, and as you can see, that's illustrated here by this black line. And the idea is that if we're looking to establish a particular trend as being underway, we really can't determine whether or not it's in a continuation phase until we break a particular pivot point. So you can see here that as we break this area here, identified with this circle here, and I've placed an arrow, then we can safely say that, okay, yes, we are continuing in an uptrend. And again, once we've established that secondary peak, we don't consider an uptrend being still in place until we get another break, and so on and so forth. Well, at the same time that those highs are getting higher, we're also looking at our lows getting higher as well, as you can see here with these various arrows. Now, this is how we're able to establish a trend line. So in this case, we've established an uptrend. And what we would do in order to gauge really the strength of that trend is we need to establish that trend line using two pivot points. As that trend is in place, we would conceivably look for the first sign of a change in trend, first of all, with a lower high, and second of all, we would be looking at a break of that trend line as being our first indication. Now, for somebody that's been participating in this uptrend and has been taking advantage of a nice profitable position, this would really be your first sign that that perhaps there's a change in direction coming along. Now, the age-old question is, okay, well, what if I believe that the market is going to continue and that this is just a sort of a moderate or a slight pullback? Well, this is when we go back to our previous low, and we resort back to that technical basics theory where, well, if it's going to be a change in direction, the first sign is a break of the major trend line. The second is a break of a previous pivot point. And under that type of under that scenario, we would then have our lower high, and then we would then consequently have our lower low, and we would be able to establish the high probability that the preceding uptrend that had been in place is now likely finished, and we should see some sort of a corrective move to the downside that we may either wish to participate in, or if we're looking for another opportunity to position ourselves long or to the upside with a bias on a particular pair value, we might just look to stand aside and wait for the market to essentially show us that opportunity. Now, what you can see here is just a little snapshot I took the other day of the EUI. Now, this reflects the U.S. dollar versus the euro, and this is a daily chart. So, just to get back to the analyzing a typical price chart here, you can see that what we have are a series of bars, in this case, it's a candlestick chart in place, and each one of these candles represents 1 day's worth of price action. Well, what I've done is I've just simply taken to establish the bigger picture trend that's been in place. I've really just taken a couple of major points, and I've drawn a simple trend line. And you can see here that over the last couple of days, what we saw is, and of course today the pair value closed a little lower than this. I believe we're down at this level right now. But the fact is, when we were putting these slides together, the idea was that we'd seen a break of the major trend line. But what we were also looking at is the fact that up within the upper range of the price action here around 74, that the pair value really wasn't, it was attempting to make higher highs, but at the same time, there was just an inability to break that 74 level. So this would be, while we're looking at it from a trend perspective and we're saying, okay, we need to see a higher high in order for us to be comfortable that there's a continuation to the upside, what we're also looking at is the formation of what we would refer to as a resistance level. And so when we see that type of trading behavior taking place, that's another indication that one might want to be cautious if you've been trading the currency long. So in this case, just to review, we're looking at how the U.S. dollar has been trading against the euro for the past several months. In this case, we can see that we're dated all the way back to just basically the beginning of December. And you can see that the U.S. dollar, although there's been a few sort of consolidation phases here, has been in a bullish trend against the euro. Now what we're seeing is this consolidation leading into the formation of what appears to be a resistance level. We have a break of a major trend line, and now we have what we would refer to as a test of a support level right in here. So we talk about the notion that if the trend is going to reverse, first of all, what we need to see is a lower high. So we go back in here and we can see that over the last week or so, the pair value has not reached the levels that it had been reaching in the past. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the reversal of the actual trend itself, but what it means is that somebody who is looking, who has been looking at a profitable position, who's been long the EUI for an extended period of time, may very well want to consider locking in some profits, selling those call options in order to, in the realization that perhaps the market was beginning to turn around. Now, the next sign, of course, as I mentioned, is we want to look at this support level, because the other characteristic of a change in direction is a drop below a previous pivot point. And that pivot point, in fact, gets labeled as a support level.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. Get trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary. Visit www.fxoptions.com. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.